In this quick tutorial, we're going to show you how to add auto color adjustment in Lightroom. So go ahead and add your photos as we showed in the previous tutorial. If you're not sure or stuck on importing photos or getting your photos off your SD card or hard drive into Lightroom, check that out. After you're done, go ahead and double click on whichever photo you'd like to start editing, and you're going to be able to preview it in a larger window, and you'll be able to navigate the bottom screen using this little dial, or you can also use the arrows on your keyboard to go ahead and select which photo to edit. So we're going to go ahead and keep switching until we find a photo that is worth coloring, that we like. All right, this is Doug, the producer of the top fitness podcast in the world, Mind Pump. If you have not heard about it, which you probably have, make sure to check it out. But you'll notice in the top right corner there is this little awesome auto button. All right, so if you're not quite sure how to get started with all of these adjustments, you can always go ahead and click auto, and then it's going to show you the corrections. It increased some exposure, decreased highlights, removed shadows, and also adjusted some vibrance, saturation. You can open up these different tabs to see what the auto adjustment did, and then you can also for basic color correction or editing, you can also change these dials, the shadows, highlights. But let's go over a quick general rule of thumb for editing photos in Lightroom. So the first thing you always want to change is exposure. If your photo is dark or underexposed, you're not really going to benefit from making all of these changes until this exposure is properly set. So always set your exposure first, and then the next best thing to do is go in and change the temperature or the white balance. Assuming your white balance was good, that's great. But if it was slightly off and you notice a kind of green tint or a blue tint to your photos, you can always just go ahead and change that, making sure that you're happy with the temperature using the blue to yellow and green to purple temperature dials. Then the next best thing is to go ahead and work with the saturation or vibrance, so you can increase or decrease saturation. You can also then come up and work on increasing or decreasing contrast, adding highlights, working with the shadows to see how that changes your footage. The whites or blacks, if you want to increase the blacks, that can sometimes help remove spots or hairs on dark clothing. And then when you're happy, you can go ahead and move on to your next photo. But those are some basic tips for getting started with just the basic settings in Lightroom. There's more complex features, like color mixers, color curves that we'll get into in other Lightroom tutorials. There's also effects. You can add, sharpening. So just know that auto is always a great place to start. It's good to see what changes, are made with auto, and then of course your eye is always going to be better than AI, assuming you got that 20/20 vision. So if you like this tutorial or you have additional questions, drop them in the comments section below. Check out our Adobe Lightroom playlist for more in-depth, short, simple tutorials. Chances are we have a solution to the problem that you need fixed.